There is a gentleman, his name is Graham Platner. He is running for Senate in Maine, and a lot of people are calling him Maine's Mamdani. He is a Democrat. He is a progressive. He's a strong fighter. And he has been, well, recently he was just at Bernie Sanders' rally for the Fight Oligarchy Tour. This is him right here. I wanted you to hear some of what he's got to say. It's pretty good stuff.
Our taxpayer dollars can build schools and hospitals in America, not bombs to destroy them in Gaza. Now, I grew up in rural Maine.
By the way, that was probably the biggest applause line that he got. I believe it was a 30-second standing ovation for that. 92% of the Democratic voting base is completely against what is going on in Gaza, and what Israel is doing is genocide. We all fucking know it. And he's making a point that we are pretty much the entire governing body is completely captured by AIPAC, and they are doing everything that they can, including using all of our tax dollars, to fund that genocide as opposed to building schools or giving us health care.
4 tours in the infantry, and I am not afraid to name the enemy.
Yet again, I apologize for keep stopping it here, but this guy did 4 tours. Democrats don't have a problem with military people. As much as the Republican Party would say that Democrats hate the military. No, honey, we do not hate the military. We hate that you are constantly sending our young boys and girls overseas to fight foreign adventures. And it's usually on some straight up bullshit to enrich a handful of people in the military industrial complex. We have no problem with soldiers. And people who are feeling patriotic want to fight for this country. Good for them. I'm glad that there are people out there that are still willing to do that, especially in the year of our Lord 2025. And, you know, this guy, he's a working class man. He's a waterman. He pulls oyster pots all day long. This guy, he's hard as nails. And that's the kind of people that we need in the Democratic Party. We need people, you know, Republicans are always talking about how macho and manly they are. Meanwhile, they worship a guy who wears makeup and has a fucking comb over. But this is a real man. This is a real strong fighter. And that's the kind of people that we need.
The enemy is the oligarchy.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Now, Susan Collins' charade is wearing thin. No one cares that you pretend to be remorseful as you sell out to lobbyists. Symbolic opposition does not reopen hospitals. Weak condemnations do not bring back Roe v. Wade.
Another thing that he said is not including in this super clip here. Somebody asked him in another interview what's his position on the LGBT community, and he goes, right in the fucking way of people who are trying to take away their rights. He's winning brownie points with me.
The same working class voters who've delivered mandate for change after mandate for change is not forgivable. A performative politics that enables the destruction of our way of life is disqualifying for the role of United States Senator. Maine deserves better than Susan Collins.
Susan Collins is a quote-unquote moderate, meaning I will say and pretend like I'm not going to vote for the horrible bills that the Republicans do because they're so goddamn horrible. But when the time comes, they always sign their name on the fucking dotted line. So anytime you hear somebody say a moderate Republican, just know that they're going to vote for the bill anyway. They always do. And by the way, the Democratic the Democratic establishment, they don't want this guy. Obviously, they never want a progressive. Democratic establishment would rather lose to a Republican than to allow a progressive to win. It's always been the case, which is one of my, I mean, it's kind of like what Martin Luther King said from the Birmingham jail. He says, my enemy is not just the racist Republican out there. I'm paraphrasing. It is the white centrist who says, I believe in your cause, but, just not right now. So progressives have got to fight establishment Democrats, those middle of the road, milk toasty Democrats first before we can even get to the actual fight with the Republicans. We're too busy fighting those goddamn centrist Dems. So when I see a guy like this, it is encouraging. Now, look, that was I think it was like 6,500 people in this main hall. Now, keep in mind, this is Bernie Sanders' Oligarchy Tour. So Bernie does bring out the people, but he had Graham there, as well as somebody who is also a progressive running for governor in Maine. And, the crowd was loving it. And, I mean, that's a fucking packed house, man. That is a packed house. That's got to be somewhat encouraging to you. Even though everything is dastardly at the moment, at least we know that there are people that are still willing to stand up and fight. Now, he's on, he gives this interview here on MSNBC, and this is actually a pretty good interview. I'm only going to play the end of it. You should watch the whole thing. But the interviewer from MSNBC, she seems very earnest in her questions, and I did appreciate that. So let's see what she's got to say and what he's got to say.
The Democratic Party, not popular nationwide. The registration for new voters toward the Democratic Party is dropping precipitously. Why are you running as a Democrat and not an independent?
I'm running as a Democrat because I am a Democrat. I've been a registered Democrat for a long time. I believe still, despite what I would say are deep critiques now of the party for at least the last 30 years. It is still it should be the party of the working class. It should be the party that protects labor. It should be the party that works with community groups, the party that really pushes for big structural change to benefit working people in this country. And I would like us to get back to that. And for me, it's personal. I've watched, frankly, politics stop representing me as a working class person. And I have this opportunity to get into this race, and I hope start turning things around if I can. And we've gotten a lot of support, far more than I was expecting, if I'm going to be entirely honest.
Well, I hear the oysters are good, so you have that going for you. Graham Platner.
Oh, look at that smile on her face. She be digging this oyster man too. I mean, he is not bad looking. I'll give him that. He's got that deep man's voice, and he's a working guy. He's filling out that shirt real nice. I appreciate that.
Thank you for joining us.
Now here is an example of an interview that is absolute fucking dog shit. I wanted to show you the good one first before we got to this one. This guy right here, Manu Raju, who you see walking down the halls of Congress all the time, sticking his microphone in representative's face, asking questions. He is not very good at his job. Now, whether or not he is good at asking questions in a hallway in Congress, when he's actually on CNN, the questions he asks are absolute shit. And Graham will give a fantastic answer. And it's almost like Manu is not even listening to him. He just rambles on to the next question, or Graham will answer him, and then he'll ask him again the same goddamn question as if he didn't already get the answer. But, without further ado.
State's Democratic Governor, Janet Mills, they think she would be the best candidate.
Yeah, that's the current governor of Maine is Janet Mills, and her claim to fame was back at the beginning of the year, Donald Trump. I'm not saying that she's not done anything else. And, this actually, what she did here did make the news, and I will, give her credit and, appreciate what she did. But at the beginning of Donald Trump's term, he had every state governor over to the White House, and it was in this big hall, and Donald Trump is sitting at his desk, and he's asking these governors questions, and he points a question at Janet Mills, and he says that something to the effect of, I hear you're not going to you're not going to get rid of your transgender athletes in Maine. I'm going to have to take away your federal funding. And she just looks at him and she goes, okay, I'll see you in court. I'm not doing that. Keep in mind, there was a total of 2 high school transgender athletes in the entire state. And Donald Trump is talking about taking away federal funding from the entire state because of these 2 transgender athletes. And she basically told him to kick rocks. Now, here's the other side of it. The woman is 77 years old. Now, the Democratic establishment would say, oh, well, she's battle tested. Yeah, man. So are a lot of these old timers that are 2 minutes away from fucking death. I mean, you got to keep this in mind. That one of the reasons why the big, beautiful bill passed is because in a matter of a couple of months this year, we lost 3 Democratic representatives due to dying from being old fucks. But yeah, she's battle tested. What is she, a fucking battleship? What is she, the Monitor or the Merrimack, Old Hickory? I mean, look, no offense to Janet Mills. And she's already stated that, it's too early for her to decide whether or not she wants to run for Senate. But she would be 78 years old next year, which means that she would be 84 at the end of her term. Are we sick of these octogenarians and septuagenarians running for office? I mean, my God, man, we need some new blood. Anyway, I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but I just wanted to give you that premise on Janet Mills, as he's talking.
If she runs. So why shouldn't the party consolidate around a battle-tested 2-term governor who has proven repeatedly she can win statewide?
If we keep running the same kinds of playbooks, if we keep having D.C. choose candidates for Maine that don't always represent a good the entire electorate of the state, then we run the risk of having another 2020. And
I mean, keep this in mind. We have done this so many times. I remember it was a couple years back. They were running a milquetoast establishment picked Chuck Schumer anointed Democrat against Mitch McConnell. And, she was a moderate Democrat, and she was very milquetoasty, middle of the road. And, and I believe she was a vet as well, but she was not running on any progressive policies whatsoever. And of course, Chuck Schumer's like, that's my girl right there. And she got the pants beat off of her. So, to answer your question, Manu Raju, why shouldn't we pick her? Maybe because we need some new blood, dog. Maybe because we don't need any milquetoast anymore. We need hard fighters. We need to give the electorate something to vote for as opposed to constantly just voting against the Republicans.
I feel that, frankly, because of the fact I was born and raised here, the kind of life that I've lived, the kind of work that I do, I have a connection with a lot of folks throughout the state, Republican, Democrat, independent, unenrolled, that I think other candidates just don't have.
So if she runs, the governor, Janet Mills, would you drop out of the race?
Oh, my God. I mean, listen to this guy. He just asked him, why shouldn't we go with Janet Mills? She's battle tested. She's an old battleship. Why don't we go with her? And then he's like, well, because we need good progressive policies. We can't keep going down this same old road over and over again. We're going to get our ass beat like we did in 2020 and 2024, yada, yada. And he's like, well, if she runs, are you going to drop out? Are you going to drop out? I mean, come on now. Why wouldn't you drop out? I love his response to this, by the way.
No, I'd stay in. We're going to run the campaign we want to run.
All right. So let me talk to you about your party, because poll after poll shows the Democratic brand at all-time lows. And in your
It's because you keep picking those centrist milquetoast, battle-tested centrist Dems. That's why. This is not fucking rocket surgery over here.
The analysis this week found your party lost millions of registered voters in recent years. Do you have confidence that Democratic leaders know how to change this very negative public perception about your party?
No. I'm doing this because I feel that we need to rebuild the party from the ground up.
Yes.
There was a time when this was a party that actually represented the working class.
Yes.
When it represented unions, when it represented big structural changes that were going to help working people. We haven't had that for a real long time. And there's a lot of finger pointing about who's to blame. But truthfully, I just think that at its core, we need to really start rebuilding from the ground up and turning the party back into a party of the working class that goes and fights for the working class.
So to that point, I mean, if you win next year, your first vote would be on choosing the next Democratic leader. That would be Chuck Schumer. Would you vote for him to be the next Democratic leader?
No. At this point,
I love it when they just give the nice, simple answer. I mean, look, that's yet again another problem I always see with Democrats, especially like people like Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, where they will say like 27 fucking words to speak around answering a question where he just goes, no, I'm not voting for Chuck Schumer. That's the kind of shit that we need. Somebody that stands 10 toes down and gives you a straight fucking answer.
Leaders that have vision and, frankly, the ability to fight. The things that I've
Chuck ain't a
seen
fighter.
Recently don't show me a Democratic leadership that has that. And while I don't really have any answers on that front right now of who it would be, I do know that it certainly wouldn't be those who've been in charge.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Susan Collins and the brand she's built in the state. I mean, she is a rare swing vote in the Senate GOP conference.
Yeah, that's the word, rare, meaning she rarely swings towards the Democratic side. Rarely. Like 10% of the time, 90% of the time she votes with Republicans. Every single fucking time. 60% of the time it works every time.
Broken with Trump. She sides with them. She's also broken with them too, including opposing nominees like Pete Hegseth.
She didn't vote. She voted against Pete Hegseth. Wow. Okay. Wow. Congratulations.
And Kash Patel. She voted against the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. She even voted to convict.
Yeah, because they had enough senators to pass the thing. They didn't need her.
Trump after January 6th in his second impeachment trial. So aren't those positions in line with the views of many voters in your state?
No.
No. And the only reason I say no is that I have lots of friends, Republicans and Democrats, who all think that she is full of it. That the vote she takes, the stances she takes, it's not based on any kind of caring about the people of Maine. She's just trying to protect herself politically.
She just wants to stay in office. I mean, let's put it this way. If they needed her vote for the big, beautiful bill, she'd fucking vote for it. They just didn't happen to need it because they have a majority in the Senate. They didn't need her vote, so she gets to have the pass. It's like the rotating villain over on the Democratic side. When Joe Biden was trying to do an infrastructure bill, it was either Joe Manchin or what's her face from Arizona. I can't remember her name right now, but if by chance they had enough people to get that infrastructure bill passed in the full amount, then immediately one of those two people would be the rolling villain. Susan Collins plays that role over on the right-hand side. So, let's see.
People in Maine don't believe it anymore. She has run a scam, quite frankly, for a long time. And I don't know anybody in my small community who buys it.
But I mean,
so
wouldn't it be better to, for voters, some voters would say, better to have someone who is willing to break with their party, and unlike someone who is willing to...
How about somebody who is willing to not break with their party, but actually vote with their party, push progressive policies. I mean, look at this smug motherfucker here. He's looking right through Graham, pretending like he doesn't have a shot. But we just saw that picture, and we saw all those people standing up. And it's in 2025. This is next year. You think that this guy is going to get less popular? I don't think so.
I'd be in line with what their party leadership, what the base wants to do 99% of the time.
That's not
when
90.
she breaks with her party, it's almost always on votes that are going to pass anyways.
That's right.
People understand what's going on. Mainers aren't stupid. Everybody gets it. We're not.
It's not just Mainers, honey. It's Americans. We're not stupid. Even though it's people like Manu and mainstream media and dumbass politicians, they think we're all fucking idiots and we can't, we don't have two eyes and we can't see. But we can see this. I could continue on with this, but I mean, I think you got the point. I like this guy. I do. The things he's got to say run right down the line with all of my progressive politics, and I appreciate that. He also seems like he's tough. He also seems like it's not that he's doing this, he wants to do this. He's saying, I have to do this. And that's the kind of people that we need in the Democratic Party, that feel compelled, that have to do this. Look, I started this channel a few months back because I felt compelled to. I felt I had to. It's just too many, not just in the mainstream media, are weak and feckless, but also the quote unquote independent media on YouTube, seeing so many of them kowtow and bend the knee to the Republican Party, going, I've been calling them fascists for years, but now that they won, let's just work with them. So I felt compelled that I needed to get my fucking petty ass teeny little voice out there, because I don't have any power. I need to do this. I absolutely need to do this. And I appreciate somebody who is running for office that feels compelled that they need to do this. They are seeing the inequity. They're seeing the horrible policies that are happening. They're seeing the fall of the American empire. And they're doing everything that they can to put their fingers in the dam like a little fucking Dutch boy. We need people who are fighters, who are willing to rebuild that dam, as opposed to let's just hold it up with our little hands here. We need fighters. And I feel like this Graham Platner guy, he is a fighter. Whether or not he is Maine's Mamdani, that's a different story, but they all seem to have one thing in common. They care about the working class. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.